you have already convinced yourself, whatever degree, that a crime did occur here in Georgia in connection with the 2020 election process, or to the contrary, if you've already convinced yourself there's no way any crime occurred in connection with the election process in 2020 in Georgia, then I'm going to ask you to include yourself in the conflict category.
That was Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney addressing prospective members of DA Fani Willis's special purpose grand jury last year. And 26 people apparently felt they had not already convinced themselves as to whether or not crimes had been committed. They thought they were neutral, and they were selected for the panel, and they went on to investigate and take witness testimony for several months. We now know that that special purpose grand jury recommended indictments against 39 people, twice as many as were ultimately charged by DA Willis. But according to the newly unredacted report, every time Donald Trump's name was mentioned, there was one no vote on recommending to indict him. Every single time Donald Trump's name was mentioned. And that lone no vote could signal a problem for prosecutors now that Trump has been indicted and a jury will have to be selected. Joining me now is Michael Steele, MSNBC political analyst and former RNC chair, and Symone Sanders Townsend, former senior advisor to Vice President Harris, and of course, the host of Symone here on MSNBC. It's great to have you here, my friend. Symone, this one juror, each and every time Trump's name is mentioned, does not find a reason to indict him. You could look at that as, glass half full, I suppose, that it was just one juror. But, they need a unanimous vote on convicting Trump. And Fulton County is deep blue. Biden won it by 46%. And even there is one person who is resolutely, decidedly, defiantly pro-Trump against all the evidence that is being presented.
Well, are they pro-Trump, or do they just not believe the details set before them? This is the challenge for District Attorney Fani Willis. And frankly, I think it's why it took, she took the time and her team took the time to come to the number of people and which they were going to charge within this RICO, because they saw how the special grand jury played out. Look, I think what's really important here is that Donald Trump, at every single case here, is going to be these grand juries. He has been convicted by, in the grand juries at least, the grand juries have seen enough to say, hey, I think go ahead and charge him, by a jury of his peers. These are regular Americans who sat around the table and said, this is not right. There is some there. I believe you, Jack Smith. I believe you, Fani Willis. I believe you, Alvin Bragg. It's going to be very important that when it comes to, particularly in Georgia, that Fani Willis and her team are able to make their case clearly. And the difference here is it's going to be televised, so we'll all be able to see it.
Yeah, I do wonder, Michael Steele, when you talk about the jury selection process, I'm prematurely nervous about it, given, again, the fact that she would have to secure a unanimous conviction. And when you look at Republican attitudes towards Donald Trump, as this process, as the evidence has been reported out, as we've seen more allegations come forward and indictments come forward, the Republican support for Donald Trump increases. CBS poll, August 2023, 77% of Republicans believe the Georgia indictment is politically motivated. There are inevitably going to be some Republicans in that jury.
Yes, there will be.
But I mean,
and that is the problem. I mean, look, it's a challenge, because when you are resolute in a conviction that someone is not culpable of the crimes that are being alleged, it makes it, to Symone's point, it makes it very challenging for the DA to put together the kind of jury pool that it will work in a way that they can avoid the reasonable doubt. Here's the problem. The problem is that the Republicans have been seating these jurors for a long time now. And so, with every eruption from Republicans around the country, pick a topic, it further cements a thinking, a mindset inside the body politic, yes, but more importantly, inside the growing number of jury pools, given the 4 states that are involved in the judicial process right now with Trump, to be able to put together 12 men and women who objectively look at the facts and decide guilt or innocence. You rightly point out here that one juror resolutely, every time Trump's name was mentioned, said no.
Yeah.
So extrapolate that out across the country in these other cases, rather, and therein lies the problem for Jack Smith, Fani Willis, Bragg, and others.
I know you wanted to make a point. I think you wanted to make a point here.
Yeah, I think this is why jury selection on March 4th with the trial in Washington, D.C., Judge Tanya Chutkan is going to be very important. Jury selection is no small potatoes. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, Alex.
Neither am I.
I did intern for the lawyers for a very long time and worked with the lawyers throughout my career, and I've sat through a number of jury selections. It's intense, it's meticulous, and it's for the very reasons that the chairman is laying out, because the jurors that you put in that jury box, those are the people that can make or break your case.
Yeah, but I would also say, and they are going to be up against not just Donald Trump, but the right-wing misinformation ecosystem that has shown no compunction about spewing lies. Before we came into the segment, we played a video of Tucker Carlson having a known con man on X, the former Twitter platform, spinning lies about Barack Obama. Barack Obama no longer president, but literally still riding that same old hobby horse of racism and everything else to malign a former Democrat just for the sake of stoking a grievance, anger, retribution against someone who actually has no bearing on Republican politics anymore. What has happened to the GOP in the Trump years and post-Trump years, it is unrecognizable in a lot of ways.
Absolutely, and I think this is why we talk about threats to our democracy. We need at least two strong political parties in this country. You know, I worked in Democratic politics for a very long time, but I don't believe that everybody should be a Democrat. We need Republicans, we need independents, we need folks who are willing to stand on the side of truth and what's right. And when you have one political party who has, bent the knee, if you will, to the lies and the tyrant and the dictator, the would-be dictator that is Donald Trump, okay, I think there are very real concerns, but the reality is it's bigger than Trump, because you could take him off the table tomorrow. The party would still have the problem that it currently has.
Michael Steele, I mean, and it doesn't, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Elon Musk is out there with his own platform. Tucker Carlson is re-platformed. What happens now?
Oh, hell no. They shot the genie a long time ago. We can't put a genie back in the bottle. They did to the genie what they wanted to do to Mike Pence. They hung his ass. That's what they did. They made it very clear the direction they wanted to go in. There's no doubt here. And here's an interesting thing that I've thought about over the last few weeks, watching these trials begin to go through their process. The delay is not going to necessarily be with the moves by Republicans and Trump and others to push back the calendar. That jury process could take a while. If these prosecutors do their homework and their due diligence, the kinds of questions they need to ask, it'd be very hard to find someone to sit on that jury sooner rather than later. It's going to be very, very hard to do.
All right. Well, listen, we still have a couple weeks to go. Michael